I'm Professor Indra Abeysekera. Let's look at what is grounded theory. When we look at a concept such as health, we can identify a number of factors that influence health. Income, physical environment, social status, social support networks, genetics, health services, education, and gender. In the positivist tradition, each of these factors are measured using an attribute that represent that factor. For example, income could be measured as net income, gross salary, or reported income. Physical environment, such as healthy water, clean air, safe houses. Social status can be measured as professional groups, living area, family connections. So each of these factors can be measured using attributes that can represent a given factor. In the positivist tradition, by using such factors and selecting attributes that represent those factors, we make deductions about the health. In the qualitative tradition, rather than going by single attributes that represent a given factor, it looks at all the factors that contribute to health, and as far as possible, all the attributes that are included in factors, and attempt to induce meanings by engaging and interacting with actors in the setting. So what we do here is we are trying to explain health, a construct, using a body of evidence. We can explain that construct using a positivist tradition. We can explain the construct using a constructivist or qualitative tradition. Grounded theory is a research method that moves beyond description to generate or discover a theory, a unified theoretical explanation, to offer an explanation for the reality that is in place for a process or an action. There are two approaches to grounded theory. Strauss' approach is that in discovering a theoretical situation, one should focus on one core phenomenon. For example, what is it been meant by professionalization? The other approach is shared by Glaser and promoted by Chalmers is that there are multiple phenomena or there are multiple realities, and these realities can be understood by researcher interacting with participants. Because there could be multiple realities or multiple phenomena, one may end up with more than one core phenomenon if we translate that into a construct, more than a single construct. For example, prestige and profession, that represents professionalization. In the grounded theory research method, data are collected with actors' engagement. And this data is analyzed, and from that, a meaning is induced. This meaning will give rise to certain questions about some core concepts or core phenomena that is uncovered through this data analysis. Then the researcher focuses on those emerging or the emerged core phenomena and go out and collect data to explore more about that core phenomena that emerge from data. Which means the researcher might now go to a different context or different actors to obtain additional data about the emerging or the emerged phenomena from the previous data set. Researcher then analyze that second data set, induce means from different actors. And this process can continue. Ultimately, the process will come to a termination where there's a qualitative meaning on a construct or a construct relationship, depending on the approach that is taken by the researcher, whether the researcher is looking for a single core phenomenon or multiple core phenomena. For example, a researcher can go and collect data about professionals. Analyzing such data set, researcher finds there's a core concept that is emerging from that, which is prestige. Then researcher raises the question, what is prestige? And go and collect data about prestige. For instance, interviewing prestigious people. From that data set, researcher induces meaning as low, moderate, and high income prestigious professions. Once a researcher is satisfied that sufficient data are collected for researcher to make conclusions, the researcher can then make conclusions, a qualitative meaning of professionalization. Or if there's multiple reality, if that approach is followed, researcher can end up with prestige and profession and provide a qualitative relationship between prestige and profession. There are 5 features of grounded theory. The first one, focus on a process, action, or concept. And there's no existing theory that explains the process, action, or concept. The second, researcher intends to develop a theory, given that there's no theoretical explanation provided for the phenomenon. Third, as researcher examines the problem and conduct the research, researcher keeps writing down ideas as data when they are collected and analyzed. The third is memory. Fourth, while researcher is collecting data, they are analyzed. Fifth, the meaning that emerges from the data set determines the next data set. So the researcher might think about a certain concept at the beginning, but might end up looking at a completely different concept or come up with a completely different concept because researcher is now driven by the data rather than by a theory. There are 3 data collection methods: interviews, observations, documents. For grounded, typically 30 to 40 interviews are conducted in grounded theory research method investigation.